43.
42. 41.
40.
39.
Number 1.
39.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33. 32.
31.
30. 29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10.
9. 8.
7. 6. 5.
4.
3.5.
3.
2.
1.
Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a show out of my hat? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
Hi, and welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty fresh take on politics. And this is show number 225. That's a lot. And our guest tonight's been on several times. I think the last time he was on 189. So we've had some changes. We've had some changes. Brad's doing our talking points. So we actually have some topics here, and I got some clips and whatnot. It's really like starting to be a real show. So stay tuned, and we will entertain you tonight. We have David Shelton. He's running for Secretary of State, and that is sort of an inter-party race. So he has to woo about 1,700 delegates, and it's always a fun proposition to woo those delegates. But it's not like you have to do the whole state. But guess what? You get that done, then you get to go to the whole state. But in the past, if you win the Republican nomination at any of these delegate contests, which will happen, I believe, June 18th of next year, then you would usually win going forward. So last time we had Diego Morales run against the pick there of the establishment, and the establishment pick lost, and Diego won. And there's a lot of, let's put it this way, a lot of unrest and concern and different things going on with that selection. So it's going to be very interesting. So far, we have Jamie Ritenour. That's, I guess, she's officially announced today. And then David Shelton, and then Diego Morales is looking for re-election. Actually, they cannot officially be in the race until like January 8th or something like that. But anyway, that's all in the details. And a lot of times people don't want to hear about the details, but they are important, because if you don't get them right, you could lose and be thrown off the ballot and all those different things. So we have that. But first, I live in Mars Hill here, over by the airport, southwest side, I guess we want to call this. West side, the best side. And so I'm out cutting the grass, and my neighbor comes over and says, hey, I turn off the mower. I said, what's up? He said, hey, we got this. I think we got an ostrich in our backyard. And I'm like, an ostrich? What the heck? They said, yeah, it looks like an ostrich. So, hey, I said, well, why don't you Google this thing and find out? Well, they've come to find out, we think it's an emu. So I got the thing. I got a chicken coop over here. I got it cordoned off, got him in there. He's just a cute little feller. I got a little video of him. This is about 7 o'clock tonight. Here, check out our little emu. What we got here. Yep. It's like a Liberty Mutual commercial there. So we're going to try to figure out whose it is, because you just don't see those things just wandering up any day. So right now he's in the maximum security chicken prison, and he will be safe for tonight from critters or whatever. But he's just cute. He just follows you around and pecks on your little fingers and stuff. He's a cute little thing. But anyway, that's just the kind of thing you can expect here in Mars Hill. You just never know what you're going to run into. And that's a fun thing. So now let's get down to business. I'm going to go ahead and bring on David Shelton. Oh, and by the way, if you didn't catch Witty Reviews before this, he's on at 8:00. He talked about the IEDC, the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. And so we're going to bring him on to talk about these new appointments and how they got there and why they got there and all that after we bring on the guests and to get the panel out here. So let's go ahead and bring on David, and we'll see what's happening. Mr. Shelton, how are you this evening?
Hey, John. Good evening.
I see you got your wonderful button collection back there. And
yeah,
are you still waiting for me?
On the walls here.
Are you still waiting for me to sign one and give you that, or did I already do that? I can't remember.
I don't have one of your campaign buttons yet.
Yeah, that's they'll be very, very rare at some point in this lifetime. But I was impressed that you had a John Schmitz for president from 1971. Now that it wouldn't impress me. That was impressive. So, but you've been in politics for quite a while. Tell our viewers that maybe haven't seen you before where you're at, what you're doing, and what's going on.
Well, I'm currently the Knox County Clerk, the Canadian Election Administrator, also the Republican County Chairman here in Knox County. In addition to those duties, I serve as a chairman for the Knox County Public Defender Board, and also I'm the chairman of the Knox County Housing Authority. Father of 5, always busy, always got something going on, got a couple of side businesses. I've been a licensed private investigator for over 25 years. I'm still licensed and insured in Indiana and Illinois. I have an LLC where I have developed a stabilizer bracket for encoders for e-poll books, and they're in use in about 20 counties in Indiana, and I recently branched out to the state of Georgia, and I've sold to 9 counties down in Georgia.
Okay, and now I don't know what the heck those things are, but does that is there a conflict with you being clerk and doing that, or does that actually help you formulate and engineer a system?
Well, the premise of the whole idea was to solve a problem. The connection to the e-poll book and to the encoder itself was troublesome, loose fitting. You'd have connectivity issues and encoding errors, and I just developed a solution to that. As far as selling in other counties or even my own county, you simply fill out a one-time conflict of interest disclosure. You disclose that, so it's permissible. And even if I'm not selling to my county, I do an annual conflict of interest disclosure here in my county. It's on file in the auditor's office.
Yeah, I like that in my elected officials, them following the rules. Seems like we have a lot of gray area these days. If you watched the Witty Reviews show and his show Saturday night, he definitely dives into those things. So I've not heard your name come up, so that's a good thing. So
Well, I try to live a pretty righteous life. I've been kind of a troublemaker in the past, documenting and exposing political corruption here locally. So always have a target on my back. So I'm very careful.
You know what we're talking about. Yeah, you've come to the right place. You come to the right place. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring. I see Brad back there. I see Tiffany is probably running a little late here. Let's do this. Let's put me and Brad on top here. I see Tiffany's backstage, but she's not on yet. So we'll bring.
She's not camera ready. Is that?
Yeah, she's not camera ready. She's just not like.
I don't believe that, but I think that's just in her head. It's got.
Yeah. She's not as fortunate as me. I can just throw my makeup on just like that, and I'm done. And maybe I got to comb my hair fast. It's so fine it dries before I can comb it, type of thing. Not a lot of time spent, as you can see, on my beauty and skincare. And Tiffany will remind me of moisturizing and things. So, Brad, how are you this evening?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good. I was actually just looking back through text with David about just different election issues and stuff like that. Wait, is that mine?
No, you're good.
You guys hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Are you reverbing or something?
I think I was, but sorry, didn't mean to. Got a hot mic, so. But no. Yeah, I was wearing my St. Louis Cardinals shirt. David, you're a Cardinals fan, right?
Yeah, I'm not so much of a baseball fan anymore. I kind of got burned in the World Series of 06, and I'm just not a fan. I saved my money to go to the World Series. I knew they're going to win it in 5, so I bought a potentially clinching game ticket. Game 4 got rained out. Major League Baseball made Game 4 tickets, Game 5 tickets, so I went to Game 4, and the Cardinals actually clinched in Game 5 like I predicted. I watched it from home, and I used to go to 30 ball games a year, and it's a 3-hour drive for me. And I think I've been back maybe 3 times since the 06 series.
Hey, I get that. That's a hilarious story, man. Yeah.
I think the last game I went to was 1988, August 28th, Reds Reds game.
We all got to get together for a an Indians game.
Yeah, we
We'll all
could.
just meet in Indy, and
Yeah, we'll do that. All right,
hang out for a day.
I see Tiffany back here, so that's good. Tiffany's all ready. I know
Greetings.
Tuesdays are always hectic for you because you have meetings and you're out there trying to save fishers all the time, and we get it. We got it. So,
Well, truth
and
be
then
told, I was at the free concert tonight, so
oh yeah, watch out. Nothing's free. Nothing's free in life. Be careful.
Wait, the John Green thing? I thought that was on Monday.
no, this is the Fisher's free concert.
Oh,
Music.
okay. I didn't know. Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Oh,
John
yeah,
Green said he wouldn't be caught dead in Hamilton County or Fishers.
How come?
Something I don't know. Something about
something about the library, probably. But yeah, well, let's put it this way: if he comes to Hamilton County, he may be caught dead. So that maybe the words.
But he is always welcome.
Oh yeah, always. Yeah. so anyway, that's a whole different show and story. But that's how we met Brad. It was the Hamilton County East Library. So yeah, there's always some good that can come out of everything, right, Tiffany?
Always. Just
Yeah. So I'm going to start this out with questions, and then I want to get to a couple things here. I want to get Witty on here, but my first question is going to be paper ballots. I mean, you hear all about these paper ballots. Now, I know that from past conversations with you, David, that we're good with what we got. But how hard would it be to do the paper ballots? I mean, would that be something that would just be, oh my gosh, just we don't have the people, anything like that? So give me that.
So first of all, the idea or the option to go into paper ballots is a possibility, but it's incumbent upon each individual county's election board whether they wanted to go that system or not. And there'll be certain requirements, guidelines on how to prepare those ballots. You can't just simply run off 1,000 ballots on a Xerox machine. There's paperweight requirements. You have to have legal disclaimers on them. You have a ballot order that has to be, adhered to as well. My experience with paper ballots is limited to a function called a town convention. That's similar to the state convention, only it's a town nominating process. So you have not your cities, but your towns. If you have more candidates than seats available, the party will have a town convention. And those are generally paper ballots, hand tabulated. I helped a county chair in Owen County. That's as far as I'll identify it. Do a town convention a couple years ago. I think it was a 23 election cycle. They had 100 people show up to vote. They had 5 candidates running for 3 seats. So the top 3 people would win the nomination and appear on the fall ballot. During that process, the town convention chair will appoint 2 tellers who count the ballots. And these 2 ladies had 100 ballots to count. They counted them 3 times over the course of an hour and a half, and they never came up with the same number twice.
Wait, so are you saying the paper ballots might not be as accurate?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Whoa, let's not. You can't say things like that in a red state, right? Like
from my experience, no. You have too much faith in humanity if you think you're going to do a hand tabulation, especially in a large.
I usually get made fun of for
but you would think that would be something that would be easily audited that way. But so as Secretary of State, and say I'm Marion County Clerk, and I come to you, and you win this Secretary of State thing, and we're hats off and all that. And I want to do this paper ballots. You would allow that to happen? You would give guidance for that, or?
Well, it's not that I would allow it. It's allowed in state law currently.
Okay.
So it's incumbent upon your county's election board to make the determination. The Secretary of State and the Election Commission, they certify and approve products from vendors, as far as voting machines. But, paper ballots is still on the books.
Okay.
How do you think
But for a candidate to say, I'm going to abolish machine voting, that's not sincere. It's not truthful. The Secretary of State does not have that control and oversight over the entire state.
Right. So
are some counties better than others with their election committees?
Their election committees or election boards?
Election boards.
Their election boards. Yeah. Like are certain counties better than? Because I don't want you to say are some counties bad, but and some good, but
some
like,
counties
That's
have
what he's
more
wanting to say.
hands-on
Yeah.
board members than others. Some have really young, some have really old. I mean, I conversed with a election board member from another county today 3 times over questions they had. So some of them are trying to learn. Technically, all election boards are supposed to attend the December election conference put on by the IED. I don't know what the penalties are if they don't go. I've had difficulty getting some of mine to go because, you know, they're older in their 70s, have been to conferences all their life, and they're just not having it anymore. So then I have to bring all the materials back and sit down with them one-on-one, explain what new laws, what new changes have taken place, because our elections are not static. They're ever evolving, ever growing, and ever more complicated. So you really need to stay on top of everything to administer the election properly. In my county, I have the faith of my election board, both the Republican and Democrat. They believe what I tell them, and you know, I kind of run the show, but you know, I keep them in the loop. I provide them with all the tools necessary. I purchase copies of all new election manuals every year and provide it to my election board members.
Yeah, there is no doubt that you come across as a guy that dots the I's and crosses the T's. So we'll get some more questions after this, but I want to go ahead and bring Steve on. He's been gracious enough to stay over for a minute here. Steve Whitmer, what is happening?
Yeah, Woody.
What's going on, Brad?
The success,
Yeah.
Brad and
Got you out of timeout because you're just being a little sad
Blocking my
boy.
ass like, oh my God, I couldn't believe that.
yeah,
I
so
unfollowed you.
I run the
unfollowed
Facebook
into
account.
because of that.
Yeah, you got to unfollow.
all right, you guys take each other's
Facebook
number.
account.
Take each other's number.
Get a room. Get a room.
That's right. You guys are, you know, the bromance getting out of hand here. So we want to be kind to David Shelton on here. It's like Mr. Hand in Fast Times at Mr. Ridgemont High. This is our time, right, Mr.
Well,
Hand?
wait, can I ask Dave a question though? Because
Yeah.
all right, like what type, like should you win? What type of international business trips are you looking forward to planning?
Absolutely none. The only international travel that I have any plans of doing is going back to Egypt. I've been there 3 times. I took my oldest son there after he graduated high school. So over the next 4 years, I'm going to have 3 kids graduating high school. And that's the plan, to take them there, because I'm a huge fan of history. And Egypt's just wonderful. They have a good beer that I like there. I enjoy.
That's a long way to go for a beer.
The kofta, the sausage, the way they prepare their okra is wonderful.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it's.
Well, we all know you're going over
there.
there.
Be merry in that country very
Yeah,
easily.
we all know you're going over there for the pyramid scheme. I know how it is. So.
Okay.
And then, Yvonne, we'll get to this question. How will you ensure the transparency and integrity of the election? We'll get to that after we get done with Steve here. So I just wanted to let you know, we will give you a little heads up there, David, like you don't need it. But so I brought Steve on. We're going to talk about the IEDC, the Indiana Economic Development
Corporation.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of acronyms that I don't know what they mean. So, so it's been very interesting. So Steve's been digging around in there. Not only Steve, but some other people. And I want to go ahead and show this article, and we can talk over this thing. So let's see. It's right here. This is it. Okay, share it, and let's see how we looking there. Oh yeah, that's good. I'm going to probably take us all off. You can still talk, so you can see it. But what that is, it talks about who has donated to these campaigns, and then how they end up on a here you go. Let's put it right there. How they end up on a committee, and there's been or on a board like this, and that's pretty tough to see there. But it talks about these guys, and maybe we don't even want to say their name, but maybe Steve can. So Steve, run us down through that real quick. Give us the cliff notes on what's going on here.
So you have one article, I have another one, but because I put my VPN to Europe so I can read articles that don't have a paywall. But collectively, 5 of Braun's new appointees.
That sounds illegal.
Yeah, it's not. Trust me, it's not, I would know. 5 of Braun's new appointees had given about $263,000 to his gubernatorial campaign and another $16,000 to his Senate coffers. Now, when I first started looking through his campaigns, I just did last year, But the other people, they looked throughout his entire gubernatorial campaign. I did not even realize that he announced that he was going to be running for governor in 2022. I thought it was in 23. But it's interesting because two of the people, not saying that this is because of Braun, because there was a completely different administration, but two of the people had gotten IADC contracts. One is them from George Thomas from Duoform Lakota Trailers and Misty Harbor Pontoons. He got a $700,000 contract, and then the other one is from the Dragoo woman who runs Rebucare. And they got a couple $1 million in contracts as well. And then I saw today that on the IU Board of Trustees that there were the Shreve campaigner and then that other lady who had given money to Braun last year as well, which, however, whatever we feel about things, I think when you're having that kind of stuff and such a high profile thing, you really want to cover your bases, I would think. But who am I to say? I'm not the governor.
They got a mandate, just.
Yeah, so you've really been uncovering some things and digging around. And David has he's been a private detective and he's dug up this stuff. And, and I would have this question for both of y'all. It seems like these things get reported. In David's case, some of those folks had to resign and they had to answer for it. But that was years ago. It seems like now it's like if you're not doing that, they just wear it as a badge of courage. And it doesn't seem to even faze anybody, or are they really sort of sad that or upset that this is getting exposed? Because I think they just think that nobody's going to care. Oh, I see Brad right.
Banking on people not caring for as long as it's been in existence,
Well, because both sides do it. That's why.
Yeah,
That's just the truth. Yeah, it's like, hey, you know what? Sure, I know this person because of this thing, and just by chance they gave him some money. Like, here, let me give you a quick example real quick. I was going through Braun's campaign reports real quick right now while you guys were talking. He just got a campaign donation from a Sonny Beck for like $10,000. Now, he owns Beck Toyota, Beck's Superior Hybrids in Atlanta, Indiana. He's also on the board of trustees for Purdue, which I thought was very funny.
Wow, so it's it's interesting, and I'd say the famous George Carlin quote: "It's a club and we ain't in it," and that's all that. Well, hey Steve, thanks for. Hey, Brad, go. I'll let you have one question because I don't want you guys to get into a big fight. One question, Brad.
No, I already forgot it now.
I got a question though for David. So we see all this Diego stuff going on right now, and Jamie just announced it's going to be like a tough convention, and Diego's going to have $1 million war chest. And this is something I've talked to with other people about in different counties too. Do you feel like people have been asking you about Diego at all? And are you planning on calling him out and say, I would, or at least at the minimum, hey, I'm never going to go to Hungary or India or anything that has to pertain with my job?
Well, absolutely. I've had a lot of people reach out from around the state for well over a year now. And I want to state for the record, one, I don't have a brother-in-law looking for a job. Two, the only interaction I ever have with visas comes when I have to pay my Capital One bill. When it comes to my modes of transportation, I don't care if it's a black car with a white mismatched door. If it gets me to A to B in a safe manner, that's good enough for me. On my way back up here to do this show, I turned 274,000 miles on my truck. I am not high maintenance. Don't let these good looks fool you here. I am not high maintenance at all.
That's good. Well,
that's good to hear.
That's good. Well, Steve, can you stick around? Wait, Lucy's not here. If Lucy comes in, I'll boot you, but you can stick around and we can ask some more questions because we got some in the. Oh, wait, there we go.
I have a question. You haven't asked me.
Yeah, that's right. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Finally. First off, about Braun and the appointments, is it news or is it fake news? Because every governor has the opportunity to appoint people, and without looking at what the last 3 or 4 governors did, I think that it is inappropriate to call this out because we do not know if this is outside of the norm. I'm just going to leave it
there. Well, has anything reported fake?
Is it news though?
Has there been a precedent set?
Yeah, I mean, every governor has the opportunity to appoint people to the boards and commissions for which he oversees.
So is it fake that the lady he just appointed gave him $2,000 last year?
But this is the thing. Who did she replace? And what did she ever contribute to the person's campaign who appointed her? So this is the thing, is that these things are not just static in the air. It's part of the system. And when we call something out and we don't understand the system and we don't research the system, it's like, if I move a book, you're calling me a book banner. It's like, no, I didn't ban the book. I just moved it.
Oh, it's not the same. Don't drag this into this.
What are we doing?
Don't get the librarian upset.
David, you might as well go get the popcorn.
It's a club. We're not in it. But my thing is that is this outside of the norm?
I don't think it is. I think that this is
as long as it's okay that we say this is just how things go. This is business as usual. As long I'm okay with saying that. I'm okay with saying that.
That's what I love about Indie Reporter and what Witty's doing. It's like shine a light on it. You know.
Yeah, you can decide for yourself,
and we can react.
I just think that this has been going on. It goes on in Indianapolis. It especially when you have a supermajority, it's very, very easy to do it because they know you're going to win and they know where to put the grease or the money. This is the case. So
the back rubs are delicious.
Yes,
especially Tiffany's popcorn.
I know, right? Raspberries, right? I mean, like, but the basketball season lasted entirely too long. I gained like 8 pounds, so I'm just gonna say that. It's nothing but beer and wings over here. So,
were you in the same suite as Diego?
Oh no, I was at the Ale in Castleton, but we were just outside of the VIP. We were in the VVVIPP. But that's all I'm saying is that, like, you know, Governor Braun has every right to appoint people. But dialing back to David when he was talking about running, so I have a couple of questions. David, is there something that happened over the last 3 years that made you run again? Well, I'm sorry, that made you want to run as opposed to waiting till the end of Diego's perhaps second term? Is there anything that really ignited your fire to run again?
The main motivation was his performance in the January budget committee hearings, where he just absolutely refused to answer any questions about his brother-in-law, the spot bonuses, the trips, everything that he refused to answer about infuriated me. Now, I've sat through him coming to every clerk conference. He comes in, he reads a prepared script. He tells us how awesome he is because he's been to all 92 counties in the first 3 months. The only thing that tells me is he's a taxpayer-funded tourist on a statewide search for photo ops. He is not doing anything for our elections. He has a few talking points that he reads off a script again, and that's it. He cannot talk the talk. He cannot walk the walk. And as an election administrator, that's very frustrating. He is not instilling confidence in any election administrator that I know in this state.
Okay, so
I could listen to this all day.
I love it.
So I guess my other question is, are our elections in Indiana secure?
They are. Are they perfect? Absolutely not, because they involve humans. You know, I had a voter fraud case in 2020. I was able to document that. I got a felony conviction on the guy. Just last Friday, I discovered yet another voter fraud case from 2020. That was delivered to my sheriff's department Friday, and I'm anticipating prosecution on that. Now, fortunately, that one I found within the statute of limitations. Now, what we need to do to help secure our elections here in Indiana is actually get serious about our election laws. Our elections have been officially considered critical infrastructure for a number of years. Now, if I went out and vandalized a power substation or anything like that, I'm going to be catching a lot more than a level 6 felony. But all these breaking the law when related to election laws, they're all level 6 felonies with only a 5-year statute of limitations. And that's really frustrating. So you can talk about election integrity and being serious all you want, but we've got to do something with our laws to make it at least a level 5, if not higher felony, because it is critical infrastructure. And if you do not have faith in our election process, how the hell are you going to have faith in our elected officials?
Yeah, exactly. The dog, he took offense to that accusation there. Well, that's a very good segue there. I actually have another clip here. This is President Trump that is sort of calling into question that 2020 election again. So let me see if I can get this done here without too much problems. There we go. That's it. And let's see here. That's not it. There you go. That's it. So
Fix it, Boomer. He's like,
divide.
you can talk while this going.
The 2020 election, which we lost. Sir, I don't have to tell you this. We talked about it. It comes at a time when the country is divided. And now you're going to be leading this country for the next 4 years. For the sake of unifying this country, will you concede the 2020 election and turn the page on that chapter?
No. No. Why would I do that? But let me just tell you, when you say the country is deeply divided,
God.
I'm not the president. Joe Biden's the president.
But you're going to be the president.
No. I'm not the president. So when you say it's deeply divided, I agree. But Biden's the president. I'm not. And he has been a divider. And you know where he divided it more than anything else, and it probably backfired on him? I think definitely is weaponization. When he weaponized the Justice Department and he went after his political opponent, me, he went after his political opponent violently because he knew he couldn't beat him. And I think it really was a bad thing. And it really divided our country.
Sir, Democrats have control of the White House now.
He's
They
out here
didn't
talking about
in 2020. If they're going around stealing elections, why
When you
didn't
say
they do it?
Democrats have control now
Of the White House.
Listen to this part.
So why didn't they steal this election? Since they have more power now.
because I think it was too big to rig.
Oh, look at those wheels turning.
Oh yeah, that
You
was
can see them.
he had an answer though. He had an answer of what it was. But so it does look a little funny. Biden was supposed to get 81 million votes, and no one got even close to that this time. And if you look at the past elections, there's never been an increase of that volume in any election of a jump from 79 to 81. Go ahead, Brad. We'll let you take this one, Brad. I want to watch David
go off, Brad.
We were at home and we got to I watched every COVID press conference that Trump did because even he said it was like primetime TV. Oh, we get such good ratings, blah blah blah. And yeah, everybody wanted to watch him be a dipshit. That's what happened. And enough people saw it to where enough people voted against him. Like he lost that election. Like Biden didn't beat him. Biden they made fun of Biden for staying in a basement or whatever. There was a lot of truth to that.
Biden was in the basement getting plastic surgery, my friend. He got a brow lift. He got his eyes done.
True.
Oh my goodness. Oh my god. The skin on his forehead was so very tight. I'm so sorry. This is
They were retrofitting his phone.
Isn't a
What
place
happened?
to
typical
judge
Tiffany.
another
But
politician.
he was
about.
in a bunker. He was healing.
Do you remember
So-
Matt Gaetz at the Republican convention?
The what?
AIDS?
Like Matt Gaetz at the Republican, they all just do
Oh, Botox. Yeah. Botox
Yeah.
full of
he got overserved. So, David, I want to ask you a question. So, a lot of the fraudulent or whatever you want to call it was from these absentee ballots, and Indiana was not involved in this. And Brad, I would agree with you. I think Trump lost that election. Biden didn't win. I just question the 81 million votes. I mean,
there were so many court cases, and somebody's going to say that they were thrown out because of standing or whatever. He still lost.
That's what I'm saying. He lost. That's what. So what's funny is, Barry Morphew, the guy that attacked me on the job site.
Your boxing buddy.
Guess what? He sent in a mail-in ballot with his wife's names on it and signed it, and got convicted of election fraud. So, and he put in for Trump. So it wasn't just Biden getting fraudulent votes. Now that's just one vote in Colorado, but still.
But David, so how prevalent is that kind of voting or voter fraud?
Heard of ballot harvesting?
Yeah.
Yes, but I feel like they would be caught by people like David.
Well, maybe not every county has somebody like me. Now, I think the biggest difference between the 24 election and the 20 election is the mail-in absentee ballots. Even here in Indiana, they changed the law through legislation, I believe. Through legislation where we had no fault, no reason absentee ballot due to the pandemic. And they had that in other states as well. In other states, they circumvented their own state's constitutions. You know, the governor mandated it, or the secretary of state, who is not authorized by their own state's constitution to change their election processes arbitrarily like that. And I think that was the difference. Now, I know Indiana elections. I know what happened here, what didn't happen here. All I know about other states is just simply what I saw on the news and in videos and movies and everything else. I have no firsthand knowledge of other states, but here in Indiana, you know, we have a very secure system. We don't have mass mail out ballots. We don't have the ballots just being mailed out without request. Our neighbors to the west, Illinois there, you sign up once for an absentee ballot, they mail it to you every single election without request. In Indiana, when a request is made, that's logged. We know what day we received that request. I know what day I received their signed application back. I know what day I mailed them the ballot. I know what day the ballot came back. So long before Election Day, I already know how many ballots are out there, how many have already been returned, and how many are still outstanding in the mail. That's why you don't see what you saw in 2020 with these ballot dumps in other states, because we already know how many ballots are out there and are going to be cast. The only, you know, variable is who's going to show up on Election Day to vote.
Yeah. So
is there like a remote e-voting idea ever floated?
Well, there is,
Like
but it's
American
just like
Idol?
absentee voting. It's
Yeah, I mean,
basically
if
an
we
honor
want-
system there. How do we know they're actually there? Now, the only electronic
Well, most of us
voting
don't use VPNs, so
I know you're missing out. Only base people do.
I don't like that idea at all. The only way to email a vote right now is if you're an overseas voter, you request it too late in the day where I can not mail it overseas and receive it back by the deadline. So you can fax or email a vote. They have to sign a special form acknowledging that they are giving up their right to anonymity on how they voted, because they're transmitting it by fax or email. Over my career as county clerk, I've had maybe 5 or 6 of those in total. That's it.
Yeah, very few times is that going to make a difference, but
I got
sometimes
a
it does.
question.
I promised we would get back to Yvonne's question here. How will you ensure transparency and integrity in Indiana's elections? I think we covered a little bit of that, but reiterate for us, please.
Well, I mean, what aspect, what portion of our elections is she wanting to know about? I mean, I invite people to come to my office all the time. You know, the people who ask questions like this, how do you secure our elections? Well, come pay me a visit. You know, I'll show you how we do that. You know, when it comes to absentee ballots, I show them the reports. We run daily reports, see how many ballots are received, and then we do a physical hand count, and the numbers better match up. Where those ballots are stored at is under bipartisan control. There's 2 deadbolts on the door, and no one person has access to that.
Yeah, I think that's what she's talking about. Now, I know that you know a lot of other clerks, and there is 92 clerks, I suppose. Yes. We don't have like an extra one watching the river or anything. How many of those clerks do you know?
I'm going to say I know 70 of them at least. You know, we had several new clerks come online this January, and I haven't met all of them yet.
So, and it sounds like I've talked to you in the past, and you get other clerk calling you. You're sort of like the go-to guy, is what I understand. Is that fair for me to say?
Well, it's accurate. I spoke to 3 clerks today, plus an election board member from another county today alone.
Yeah. So,
but I don't know everything. I don't even consider myself an election expert. I'm a student of our elections, and whenever I can learn something new, I consider that a good day.
Okay, so we have
here's a question. David, are you grassroots or are you establishment?
Oh, I wanted to ask that one.
Oh, man, I've been accused of everything. I've been a rhino. I've been establishment, a troublemaker. I don't know. I mean, I'm a county chair here in Knox County, but I don't know. I try to get along and be respectful to anybody and everybody. You know, I try to have civil discussions with anybody with, you know, relation to our elections. You know, I've talked to these groups that want the paper ballots. I've tried to understand their position, what their concerns are, and more times than not, they want to say, well, look what happened in this state or that state. No, give me for instance, give me an example here in Indiana that I can sink my teeth into, because I'll put my PI hat on and I'll go after it.
There you go. Look at the absentee ballots in Muncie. And do you know the Muncie clerk?
The clerk in Delaware County. Yeah,
Delaware
I know
County,
Rick
yes.
very well. I was actually involved up there was it last year? I got appointed to the recount commission. They had a county
yeah, I
council
remember
race
that.
was a recount, and the judge actually appointed me, so I drove 3.5 hours to.
Wait, was that the
participate in
Ryan
an all-day
Webb
recount.
one?
Ryan Webb.
Yes, it
That
was.
was the Ryan Webb one. I think we had you on the show around that time.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I've been appointed to 3 different recounts around the state recount commission.
You definitely know your way around this thing. And as you mentioned, well, hold on one second, you people. We will try to have a debate. I know Jamie's game and your game, and I know hopefully Diego will come on the show. We obviously, and any Democrat that wants to come on to talk about their running, I don't know what they're going to have. And obviously the Libertarian this is an important position for the Libertarian because they have to get, 2 or 3% of the vote to be able to maintain their minor party status.
She's going to do
Something
so
like
much
that.
worse than Jeff.
And if they get 10%, they get full ballot access.
Yeah. So they have to run somebody with some clap. So this could get to be fun. So anyway, okay, let's go. Steve, you're a guest to host, but we got to let Tiffany go first because
let Tiffany go first.
What's your question, Tiffany?
So I know that elections are probably it's like maybe one of 4 or 5 of the duties that the Secretary of State oversees.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I asked Jamie the same question, but I'm paraphrasing. So what type of Secretary of State do we need in Indiana? Do we need somebody who has deep election experience? Do we need somebody with a strong business background? Do we need somebody with relationships or somebody with aspirations outside of the country? So what do you think fits for what do you think the people of Indiana need?
Well, everything except for the aspirations of foreign travel. Everything you mentioned is what they need, and frankly, I am that person. In addition to my experience with our elections, I've been a private investigator for 25 years, and if you boil that down to 2 words, I'm a fraud detector. All the other divisions have to do with consumer protection and discovering and exposing fraud, whether it be businesses, auto dealers, all that stuff. I have the ability to dig down and look into things, investigate the issues. I will, surround myself with the best people, and at the same time, I will not operate in an echo chamber. I will never presume that I know everything about everything. I want to hear other perspectives, from Democrats, Libertarians, anybody, everybody. They deserve an ear. And more times than not, when somebody has a problem with government or concerns, they want to know that they've been heard. They may not get what they want, but it makes things go a little easier if they know somebody's actually listening to what they have to say.
Yeah, and we do have, you are over the business entities, and I was complaining about the business entity fee that we have to pay, and to me, it's like I'm already paying friggin' taxes to you people, and you know where I am. So why do I have to pay $22 or $32, whatever they've raised it to let you know I'm still in business?
We're supposed to be pro-business, business-friendly state. When you look at maybe extending the filing period as opposed to every year, maybe do it every 2 years, just to give people a little bit of a break there.
Yeah, it just fees. I'm tired of it. And then none of those government people come out and help me lay bricks. If they want to come out and lay a couple bricks, then I might say, hey, you know what, I'll give you some more money. But
something I'm going to bring to the table in that office is every time it comes time to spend money, I remember a little of that money comes out of my own pocket. It's not reasonable to expect the people to do without and do with less when people in government don't understand that concept. Since I've taken office, I went from a staff of 10 down to 8. So I've seen a 20% cut in my staff. We're still producing and providing everything that we need to do here in Knox County. Lucy would probably love this statement, but I believe government exists to provide services to the people. It doesn't exist to create jobs.
Yeah, that'll never work with what we've been seeing. So anyway, here's what for Yvonne's got a ton of questions in the comments, and I know David, you've been somebody that's actually gone back after the fact and answered some of the questions. So that's the kind of hands-on type of person. Have you spoken with Indiana First Action? That is
I have. They actually sent me an email last week. I heard they were paying Johnson County a visit a couple of years ago. I called the clerk and I sat in on one of their meetings with them where they relayed their concerns and their questions and their statistics. I listened to them. I didn't agree with everything they said. You know, one of their bones of contention with the 2020 election is they just couldn't understand how Holcomb received more votes in Indiana than Trump did. And to me is very apparent. You know, with Trump, you love him or you hate him. There's no gray area with him whatsoever. But Holcomb had more widespread appeal, you know, with the Republican conservatives, the middle of the road people. And even just a couple months ago, I had a conversation with one of my local Democrats, and he said, you know, Holcomb did a really good job. I really appreciate the way he handled the pandemic and the shutdowns. So he had a broad appeal across all spectrums that Trump never had and never will have. You know, like I said, Trump's a love him or hate him and no gray area in the middle.
Yeah, and I think that I can see Steve's wheels turning up there. He's thinking, rhino, rhino, rhino. So, you know, hey, and you know, I noticed
I
that.
didn't say that I like him and
No, you
appreciated
didn't.
that. I'm just relaying a story that was.
Oh, I know. I'm just telling you what. I can read Whitmer's mind about half the time, and it's always sometimes it's easy.
I got sideways with the governor over the lockdown and everything because the same day that he issued his lockdown, I did a press release here stating, look, you're coming to vote, you're coming to apply for a ballot. You don't have to wear a mask because it's not legal to impose any kind of restrictions or barriers to free access to our election process. And I caught a lot of grief for that stance, but it's the truth then and it's still true today.
Yeah, it's a suggestion, not an order. So, you know, in District 7, when I ran against Andre Carson, I got 4,600 more votes than Braun and 2,500 more than Trump. So the discrepancy in my message was totally different than both of those gentlemen. And, you know, it resonated with some people, but just not enough. But, you know, it is an indicator that you need to know who your constituents are and what they want to hear. But it comes down to the money a lot of times of who donates what to the different things. And like I said,
and that's why they get appointed to positions?
Hey, come on, Brad. We've already covered this. Yes, that's why. That's how you do it. Apparently, if you would have read the article, it's $25,000 or $35,000. Unless you build semi-trailers, it's $126,000.
Like that's the funniest part. Or canoeing. Like, we were all arguing for a little bit, and I'm like, we're all correct.
Yeah, I know. It's like
yeah.
Well, Tiffany,
we're all mad. Like
Tiffany's on the fence because she thinks it's just normal, and that's what there's nothing out of the normal here because this sounds.
What is he supposed to put out something on Craigslist? Like,
yeah,
hey,
right.
Who wants to be on the IEDC? Hit me up.
It's on Snapchat.
I'll get a mattress. I mean, it's the governor.
They need to start putting it on Snapchat.
It's a minimum requirement.
But
the Democrat governor would.
This is the thing: is that like he's the governor. It's the state of Indiana. I mean, he's gonna going to.
He can appoint anybody that he wants to that has $25,000 to $35,000. I mean, I agree. You can do that. So
if you know what, John, you have 2 kidneys. You're just making choices.
Yeah, I know. Well,
how bad do you want it?
I would do stuff for free. If they call me, I would do it for free. So
I don't get paid. So
you need a price.
Oh yeah, those guys they don't get paid either.
Hey, like the helipad.
Can you put a price on influence though, and the connections though? You'll have the IDC for.
Well, I don't want to. I don't want to bring Diego up.
It's the opportunities, man.
I saw a story on Facebook. This guy spent, I don't know, like $2,000 on some tickets at a Yankees game, and he ended up sitting next to Jay-Z. And he said that the money he spent on those tickets were the best thing he ever did. He ended up selling them like a plane and selling planes to his other friends. So sometimes, I mean, you got to pay to play. It takes money to make.
Yeah, Lucy, there were a couple people.
Witty, did you hear what you said?
What?
Did you hear?
All right. Let's focus. Focus, people.
Getting
Focus.
the fan hammer.
Focus. Okay. Since you want to talk about the money, let's talk about the big, beautiful bill. So we're gonna let I think David's done an excellent job explaining his qualifications and all that. So the big, beautiful bill. I have some clips here again. Let's see if I can do this.
Oh, can I ask him about the travel board?
Yeah, you can ask him about that while I'm getting this ready.
All right, so in Marion County, I don't know how they do it in Knox County, but we got a travel board. They go to all these hospitals, and the lights are on, but nobody's home for all these patients, and they basically like take their hand and they scribble up whoever they want to vote for. Is there any way that we can like limit that, or is there any restrictions, or is that like not constitutional if we try taking that away?
It's not constitutional. You can be adjudicated as incompetent in a court of law and still have voting rights. Now, what I try to do in my county, and I haven't done it recently because we had a change in the Democrat chair, and it was prior to me becoming Republican chair, I actually put the Republican chair and a Democrat chair together, and they were my travel board. So between those two ladies being their respective party chairs, that pretty much guaranteed there wasn't going to be any funny business. And they came back to the office expressing the same frustration as you, because they get there, they don't know what day it is, let alone what candidates to vote for. They just have it ingrained in their being that they needed to vote. And you get there, you have to read them the ballot. Oh, I don't know them. Oh, I don't know them. Or they're having a bad day, say, well, I never requested it and I don't want to vote. Another problem that we have is you have, activities directors at these facilities. Sometimes they're a little more of an activist than they are an activities director, and they go around and get everybody to sign an absentee application to request a ballot. And it's an undertaking. Even in a small county, it can take several full days to get around to every nursing home. We don't have time to go to every individual room. We try to have them staged in the multi-purpose room and have them cut through. But again, we have to have a signed application from each of these requests for them to vote. We just don't go willy-nilly and say, hey, come on in and let's vote. No, you have to contact my office first. And they did do a change in law a couple years ago where it's incumbent upon the voter themselves or an immediate family member to make that request. They're supposed to be taking the activity directors out of the equation, but there's ways around that. They get absentee applications online, and they go around and have the residents sign them and fill them out.
Yeah, it's quite the undertaking here because we do have a large county, and it's interesting, and we've seen some, let's say, ballot harvesting from a Democrat trustee person that I'm not going to say their name, but that was sort of the rumor going around that they had ballot harvested from that. So this will be our last thing we're going to talk about. Let's do the big beautiful bill real quick. Let's see if I can get to that.
There are several changes
Oh.
of the bill. Key enacting provisions we made. We're going to be speaking with Senators Mark Mullen and Marshall Blackburn throughout the night. First, let's head to Capitol Hill.
The audio is horrible.
Todd, good evening. The Senate is inching closer to voting on the big, beautiful bill.
Good.
Senate Democrats hamstrung debate on the bill. They mandated that Senate clerks take turns reading the entire bill, all 940 pages, out loud. The exercise consumed more than 16 hours. Voices failed.
Well, they passed it though.
I know this was previous to what this. I wanted to bring this point
I
up.
love that they did this just because.
Listen to the lady's voice after reading for 16 hours.
To carry out subsections C through F.
But now the debate is on.
They put
Democrats
it on
are
one
railing
person?
against the bill.
I think they had 4.
Millions will lose
I think
health
they had 4
benefits.
people.
Republicans are touting tax provisions and border security.
So
border
the
was pretty
debate
secure now.
and eventual voting on the big, beautiful bill has begun.
So that's that. And let me do the next one here. And this is what happened. We had this happen today. So I'm going to go ahead and play that one. Let's see if I can get it figured out here.
Senate being evenly divided, the vice president votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
And there you have it. That is what happened. So, it was
It was a tie like that.
It was a tie.
That
Well,
doesn't happen every
we
day.
had a lot of ties in the last 2 years. If you remember, Kamala Harris passed, I think, 51 of the tie breaking or so. A lot of the
It's called
tie
a
breaking.
Van Halen vote, 51-50.
5150, yeah. Good. So, and as the famous Nancy Pelosi says, we'll just have to pass it and then read what's in it. But I think I want to go around the thing. I want to start Tiffany, Brad, Steve, then you, David, then me. What is your biggest disappointment in this passing of what's in the bill that you know? What's your biggest disappointment?
I couldn't tell you. Go ahead,
Okay, Brad.
I think it's that nobody quite understands what it is, and the idea of passing a giant bill is stupid to me. Like, if it's not good enough to be passed on its own, don't shove it in to something else. Like,
But
they could
that sounds like people are mad that Trump put his own pork in his own bill.
No, I mean, I'm like this with like, if Democrats did like a big giant bill too, like, that's equally stupid.
Like 2,400 pages, which was the Obama bill.
Well, but this one was like 900 pages or
900.
something.
Yeah, that's not even.
And like, Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and said she didn't read it, and then voted for it, and then, she's mad about the AI thing.
But she should have just listened to the lady reading it. That's what I was. I heard the lady.
Does it have the 10? It still has what, the 10-year ban on limiting AI?
I think it's 5 now.
5. Woo! I read an article this morning.
Why did they agree to that?
Wait a minute. I get Arnold Schwarzenegger's newsletter in the morning. I've been lifting weights, working on my guns, and they cited an article about AI, and they had 2 groups of people. They were both tasked with doing essays, and the one group could not use AI, so they had to freehand, and they wrote like 4 different essays on different topics, and the other group just used AI. And then they switched the groups, and what they found is that the people who used AI, who then had to create essays on their own, they were doing brainwave scans, and like their brains were not like firing and triggering and showing critical thought the way that they needed to. So in the next 5 years, if AI is not regulated, it's going to be the wild, wild west. And if you think about it, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, if you think about it in the broad world of everything that is being done to society, they made us wear masks, they told us to be afraid of people, we couldn't, commerce came to an end, and now they're not going to regulate something, and people are going to forget how to think. So just think about it. If AI is not regulated, we will continue to turn to AI to show us and tell us how to think. I'm glad.
And you can't hardly
Just more lazy people.
I just love that you got that from Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was in Terminator 2, which is all about
Terminator.
Oh my gosh.
I'll be back.
I did not expect it. This newsletter that he sends out is fantastic. There's tips on creatine and working on the guns.
Pump you up.
So it's really good because he was the governor of California. I mean, he's like an onion. He has layers.
Layers. Yeah, that's true. And he was on the View and survived that.
layers.
So, Steve Whitmer, what do you got up there for your biggest disappointment?
I was pretty disappointed that they didn't have deportations by catapult. They decided they were going to have a moat around Mexico filled with sharks and piranhas.
Well, they got gators.
Yeah, but I was in Florida. I needed something around Texas. I needed like a 12-foot moat with pikes, so if they were to die, their bodies would float to the top, and then their pikes would be on a head. Vlad Dracula, he knew what was going on. He set the precedent for everybody else. I'm a little disappointed. Where was Banks and Young on that? They didn't get my email.
You emailed them too? That's hilarious.
I mean, listen, I email
One
everybody.
of us got our way probably, though. So
not mine.
Whitty is the most feared person in Indiana and soon to be the world.
Getting there.
Yes, about 1 million emails. So you want catapults and heads on spikes. Okay.
I want sharks with lasers on them. That's what I want.
So I'm sorry you have to follow that, David. Are you familiar with the bill and some of the stuff that's in it? Do you have
to be honest with you, I've been pretty busy helping my local officials be compliant with House Enrolled Act 1679 the last few days. But doesn't this bill now go back to the House since there's been so many amendments and everything?
Oh, yeah.
I'll pay attention to what's going on there when it gets closer to the finish line.
Who's your congressman?
Mine is Mark Mesmer.
Okay.
I want to know what you're with about 1679. Is that the Wesco bill?
No, I don't remember who the author was. This is the one that created some confusion among all elected officials. Now, if you hold office and it pays more than $5,000, you have to have an active and open campaign committee, where before, after an election year, if you didn't have any money left over, you do a final disband on your finance reporting. Now you have to reopen it by July 11th at noon, and then you're also required to do annual campaign finance reporting. And for most people, they'll fill out the first page of the CFA4 in January and put a bunch of zeros on it because they're not, raising or spending any money. I believe it was an unintended consequence and an attempt to change, find consistency in the definition of what a candidate is. And this just kind of happened. That's my understanding, because it went underneath. It was not on anybody's radar whatsoever. I'm on the clerk legislative committee. Just a kind of a part-time ad hoc thing. I'm disappointed that the Secretary of State didn't put the alarm out months ago on this. I mean, he's got a full-time legislative director. That's kind of his job.
Keegan.
But, hasn't.
He's driving around too much. He's got.
He's got that fancy.
Well, he's got his LA doing skydives.
It took them 2 days after I did a post about this for the Secretary of State's office to even acknowledge it.
So how did you find out? How did you get the news?
We had our annual county clerks SBOA conference just 10 days ago, or 2 weeks ago, and it was brought to our attention on 2 weeks ago today, actually.
So who would be somebody who would tell you that? Because it sounds like the Secretary of State wasn't the guy that told you that. It was somebody else.
It was one of the co-director of the Indiana Election Division, and part of their presentation on legislative updates.
It's like, and then you're like going, wow, okay. Let's see if we can't get this straightened out. All right, so you haven't read it. She's mad about the AI thing, which she went back.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm alert.
Alert. Okay.
Aware.
I got to get the words right here. My biggest disappointment was they didn't cut spending. It's like you think it's almost like, what was the biggest thing in Indiana? Property taxes, and they didn't do much with property taxes and all that.
Hasn't Trump's administration spent more than Biden's at this point in time?
Oh, yeah, probably. He was a big spender last time. I mean, you're not gonna call him a conservative.
Conservatives.
I mean, the dude's got a golden toilet. You think he's good? I mean, really? If you ever seen this,
what do you clean?
I'm not following the voters' train of thought on that. Then.
Well, but all the voters aren't like Trump. Our voters are like a lot of property owners that are here in Indiana, and I think there's a lot of people that are tired of our deficit going up a lot, but apparently not enough because they don't care. They just rather get their things. But it's a lot of money, and you get an Elon Musk in there, and he has all these cuts. And nothing ever happens. All that happened was all his cars got keyed, and nothing happened. Yeah.
And somebody came up with a really good slogan for a bumper sticker. I bought
was
it. Elon was crazy.
Elon was crazy.
No, people on Teslas. It says I bought this before Elon went crazy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there you can. I saw one where they used the T on the back as some sort of a message maker. So I think if you didn't put that, well, Rob Schneider made a comment. So if you are a Nazi in America, now's your time, because you could drive around with your Tesla with a Nazi scratched in it and nobody would know the difference. They would, so there's good and bad on that. So okay, let's see. I think I'm out of. Hey, guess what? I went through all the clips, and we're into an hour and all that. And David, I know you probably do not want to stay around for.
Oh, I have a question for David before he goes.
Okay,
I'm good to answer questions for another 2 hours. Just keep on firing away.
We don't have enough paint that we could watch dry. I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud?
So, Dave, so I do want to say that David was a state delegate, national delegate, and we went to the RNC, and he is genuine and kind, very hands-on.
Not with the ladies, though.
No.
I just got to clarify.
Wait a minute. So I'm getting out of the car. And he comes up and he's like, "Let me help you with your bag." And he's getting my bag out of the car, and he's like all but grabbed it, and he's getting it on the bus. And it took me so by surprise. I didn't know who it was. And I was like, "Can I tip you? Thank you so much. Who are you?" He's like, "Tiffany, it's me." I was like, "Oh," because he was so dressed down. He had on like a hat. And that's just the person that he is. Just helpful and kind, and especially as you tell the stories about all the clerks that you're working with. So what can we do as you walk this journey toward convention and election?
Well, of course, I need everybody's support. I need people to run for delegate and vote for me. I do understand my role. I'm a challenger to an incumbent Republican. But as Republicans, we need to hold our own accountable just like we try to hold the other side accountable as well. And I don't know anybody who's really happy with the job performance of our current Secretary of State. To me, the office is bigger than the person. I'm going into it knowing that I'm going to be a temporary office holder up to 8 years. I don't need to see my name up in lights. It's not about me. It's about doing the job. I want the job to do the job. It's not a stepping stone for me. I'm an election administrator. This is a destination that I want to be at.
Okay, yeah. Hey, that's a very good closing argument, sir.
Does anybody else find it odd that Todd fired Diego, but yet endorsed him now? And
I believe there's a lot of odd things. There's a lot of odd things.
Wanting anybody to take sides, but that's freaking ridiculous, right?
Brad, you just couldn't resist, could you? Got to pile on the Republican. Kick him when he's down.
David will have to follow up with Yvonne because she has questions, and maybe you two can swap information.
Yeah, or I don't know if I can go back afterwards and answer questions. I'm just doing this on my phone.
I don't know
so I don't
if
really
you
see
can't
questions.
answer my questions. How can we support you? I mean, I can't.
Yeah, it's right up there. There's a question. It's right there. Did you give testimony on this bill at the State House?
Okay, yeah.
Which bill?
The bill that you were talking about that required the $5,000 campaign finance.
No, I did not testify to that.
Yeah,
I don't think I testified on anything.
Probably
this year.
makes a lot of sense. There are probably candidates who would probably just say, I'm not running, and just drain their campaign account. And then
That's what I recommended my candidates to do, so they didn't have to do the annual reporting. But now they have to do it whether
If
they
it's
have money or not.
more.
Well, didn't you say too that it wasn't really on your guys' radar?
No, it was not on my radar. It wasn't on our legislative committees. I don't think it was on anybody's radar. After they made the changes to state law, I mean, you think you're changing one code, and it changes the next one, and it changes 50 entries down the line. That's the complicated nature of our election process and our election laws. You think you found a code that's appropriate to whatever issue you're trying to research, well, you better read the code above it and below it because it may contradict what you just read. And, there's always attempts to clean our election language up, and sometimes it has unintended consequences.
Yep, and I think Yvonne would be somebody you might want to look at. And I know she probably doesn't have $25,000 to $35,000 to donate to you, but she's a very sound mind. So I would look at.
What other questions did she have for me?
Oh, she's got. she has got. If you've
on
ever
my phone,
talked to,
so I don't see questions or anything popping.
yeah,
up
you don't
here.
see him. Here we go. Indiana police investigate apparent election fraud in county with history of Democrat ballot crimes. What she meant to say was Marion County. So no, but
or Lake County.
Or Delaware County. I know it's had some fun times.
I think we would see more election fraud cases in Indiana if we had prosecutors that understood our election laws a little bit better. I feel fortunate that I have a prosecutor in my county that work with me, but I have to do the research. I'm citing specific codes for these violations that I'm finding.
Yeah,
and,
Yvonne, she watched that go through all the committees and everything. So I keep her name handy.
Okay.
I think, like I said, I've had conversations with her offline, and she's
that's it too. Though I
has
do
good
think
comments.
That the legislature isn't the most transparent about what time they're going to have things, when things are going to be discussed, even if they do.
For the most part.
Yeah.
I mean,
I watched all those committee meetings this whole year. When the House will start, they're always late. It's like going to the city council meetings. They're always late, but like the committee meetings are always on time.
Yeah, I don't think the general public is used to whatever schedule they try to set for themselves. And again, Whitty, you're reporting on all that stuff. I love the fact that people are just shining lights on stuff like that. It doesn't matter. Just show it.
Yeah,
So.
and I think Tiffany made a point about maybe digging deeper into the past administrations to see who's done that. And you know, Steve will do it. He'll get some peanut butter whiskey out and just go right through a bunch of them.
But the past governors have been Republicans too, so I don't know what we're getting at here.
Well, I mean, I think there's a pattern,
Well,
but
you go all the way back to finding a Democrat.
Okay, well, like we gotta go. I mean, so we got 4 guilty guys, and then we're gonna hold this 5th one.
So this is the thing. This is the thing that I think is so crazy. Brad, you ran for office. Whitty, you've run for. We've all run for office. So, and this is my conspiracy theory. I'm going early.
Ooh.
Well,
wait.
Hold it.
Early.
Okay.
Well, I want David to be on. We're going early. Roll that footage.
Okay, hold on. I'll play it.
So
get the banner too.
Get the Spiro's got to remember.
Hey, y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory, so you better get your tinfoil hat out and let's see what's going on this week.
All right.
There you go. Now you're safe. They can't clip you now.
Here it is. Dude, everybody thinks that that campaign contributions are evil. Everybody thinks they're evil. People, the media will take a snippet and they'll say somebody gave somebody $1 and then this is what happened. But we all know as candidates that if somebody invests in your campaign, that they are in it with you, they care about your success, they're financially supporting you, you have like interests, and they are trying to help you get elected. So
they want money in return.
Wait. Campaign contributions are not evil.
Okay, so raise your hand if you've had somebody give you $35,000 in one clip. Okay, so
well, we don't have races of that magnitude. I mean, like
I don't know. I ran for friggin' Congress. Is that magnitude?
Well, but that's it though.
Well, I mean, who gave you the most money, John? I mean, I'm so sorry. Did you feel dirty cashing checks as you were running for office?
No. What I did feel obligated to a lot of the people that gave me $100, $20, or whatever. The people that believed and they weren't trying to buy influence. And honestly, if you're in my race, I had no chance of winning. So anybody that gave me money was truly in support of. So it's not a matter of like, well, I think he's going to win. I mean, I've run in 2-to-1 Democrats, even more than 2-to-1 Democrat races. And it's what it is. And if you don't have the big money to put out the commercials in say 2/3 of Marion County, I'm not going to move a needle. I'm not going to even get the message out.
God gives you 3 things. And when you think about contributing to campaigns, you can give your time, you can give your treasure, you can give your talent. So we are all equally prepared to help candidates who are vying for office. You either give your time, your treasure, or your talent.
Yeah, but I think too many people are relying on the money part, like the treasure part. Like
I mean, there are plenty,
nobody wants to give the time.
Look at the people who busted their ass for Micah. And Micah took care of those people who invested their time.
Yeah, but Micah busted his ass to get those
in his campaign. I know, but he had people working with him who didn't have money. They weren't writing $35,000 checks, but those people were with Micah at every event that he went to. We were at that thing for the library. I was like, good God, he had like Jesus's bodyguards with him. I mean,
that was hilarious. Well, yeah, when they all poured out of the SUV.
But there are people who believe in candidates, they believe in the message, and they will give time, treasure, talent. And I'm tired of people making it seem like it is horrible and evil.
It is.
Todd Young.
There is that part of it.
You know what? You know who says? You know what kind of people say it's horrible? People who've not won.
Yeah, the people don't get the money. That's
the people that have a soul.
People that have
integrity is what you're saying.
Well,
you're saying that I'm a loser, and because my soul is not available, and then I have integrity, and saying, hey, it's really weird that someone donates $10,000 to somebody and they're not expecting somebody. It's so weird. I know, but Tiffany protects the shields. She's always got to replace the GOP. Hey, Diego's not.
I can't wait to
What are you talking about? You're never going to win this, Tiffany. I'm going to let you right now.
If you put your name,
you're just mad because I'm calling out Mario. I'm calling out Raju. I'm calling out everybody in the Hamilton County GOP.
Call us out. But you know what? Everybody who's elected.
What you're saying, it's okay though.
Good. Call us out. You're going to do what you do. But I'm
I
telling
am.
you, people who've run campaigns.
That's why we
they
posted a
won.
video of
They
you
were
on
good
Indie
candidates.
Reporter
Make your
defending
point.
Diego.
But I think they win because of the
I
money,
knew
though.
it was
Tiffany.
you. I knew it was you. Whatever.
It wasn't me, it was us.
Yeah.
It was
David,
us. That's
it's been
fine.
nice having you on here.
Well, I want to add something here.
Well,
I think the fact that you guys are having this conversation right now is proof positive that there is transparency in our election processes. You know, what Steve found is publicly available. It's just he took the initiative to look it up. Now, I appreciate what he does. I do. I enjoy a good conspiracy theory, but there's not a conspiracy theory everywhere you look. You know, so you have to temper that with what you're putting together. You know, I agree with what Tiffany said. You know, you have people that believe in candidates to the level that they're going to donate money. I mean, unless you're independently wealthy, you rely on these donations to mount a campaign. And there's so many expenses, especially the race that I'm running right now. You know, I've got 3 big dollar items that I'm going to have to cover. I'm going to have to do the Congress of Counties in February. You have the registration fee with the state party, which is going to be 15 grand by itself, and then you're going to be spending another 15 to 25 grand at the state convention for your hospitality suite. It's obscene how much money you have to have, but you know, to do this race, it takes a lot of money, and then you add in direct mailers, your emails, your MailChimp, the text messages. How else are you going to get your message out to the masses? You know, I mean, unless you have a state-funded car to drive to every county in 3 months, you know, it's kind of hard for the regular guy to do that.
Wait, are you saying that they're campaigning while
Exactly what I'm saying. As long as he says something about his official duties. Oh, in my office today we did this. Well, that's an official visit. So the incumbents do have advantages.
And they get 2 more mailers. If you're in the House of Representatives, you get 2 mailers. And I think they should be able to have those during an election cycle, but they do, and they vote their own rules. And why would they vote to dock themselves for that?
So in the context of my conspiracy theory, I think David Shelton has laid out why one needs campaign contributions if they want to run a really good campaign and win. So David, thank you. And I trust that everybody who believes in you will contribute to your campaign.
Yeah, well, I need the help. You know, I've got 5 kids. I damn near procreated myself into poverty. So you know, I need all the help I can get.
Yeah, you'll have that with them bread snappers. That's good. So, well, and then bringing that back to, you know, Tiffany talked about Micah and his campaign. You're running the very same, you know, group of people you have to get to vote. Same thing that he did for just a different position. And, you know.
Yeah, but David has morals and values. It's nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's refreshing for sure.
Opposed to whom? Who'd you throw that jab at, Brad?
Oh, I threw it at Micah. I would put it on his Facebook page or Twitter, but he blocked everybody like a little, you know, whatever. So.
He's not bitter. Brad's not bitter about it.
No, I mean, I think all
Steve put him in timeout, and Micah
had to put him in timeout.
So
had to give him a breather.
Yeah. See, and I'm still riled up. He can't.
I know.
I know. It's like, well, it is frustrating sometimes when you know this and that and the other thing, and you know, David alluded to earlier about the fact that our Secretary of State couldn't go through a budget hearing and be cohesive and coherent. He could not do it. When your staff, Keegan, knows, in my opinion, knows more about the office than the person in the office, is like, what's up with this? But anyway.
So, you know,
good thing skydiving went well.
Have this conversation about the Secretary of State office. There's the job and there's the person, and then there's the office. Does the Secretary of State's office run well? Are there really good people and strong leaders working there?
I mean,
that question for me?
I mean, I guess it's a rhetorical question, because there's Diego the person, then there's the office of the Secretary of State, and then there's the people who actually do the work. So, I mean, I feel like, you know, folks in Indiana should rest assured knowing that there are really good people working in the Secretary of State's office.
He gives a lot of spot bonuses, so they must be good.
Yeah, and the family kicks are good too. So, okay. I think that's going to do it for today. We're not going to have you endure any more of this conspiracy theory. I think you're going to get out of here barely scraped up on it. You did an excellent job answering the questions. I would definitely talk to Yvonne about helping on your camp, whatever, because she's sharp and she friggin' knows what's going on. So,
And I'm sure there are other people who took notes tonight. So.
Oh yeah, I see the names and the numbers in here, and a lot of people, they watch this show because we're just regular people trying to figure it out like everybody else. It's easy for people's eyes to glaze over when you start talking about this, that, and the other thing, but we must be diligent in figuring out who's running, why they're running, and all that. And I think we're doing a really good job covering Secretary of State. We also have Treasurer Dan Elliott. He's going to be coming on. And then we also have, what do you call that?
Wasn't he the Shreve guy too, though, Woody?
Everything connects back to Shreve.
Yeah, it's like he's like Kevin Bacon of politics. So all right, David, thanks for coming on. We're going to continue a little bit of discussion here, and we're going to talk about you when you're not on. You can stay backstage if you want, and if you raise your hand, I'll bring you back out. You can cuss somebody out if you want, but that's all right.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks a lot. You did a great job.
Hey, good seeing you all. Thank you.
Thanks,
Good seeing you.
Thank you.
All right. You guys are you ask a lot of good questions, that's for sure. So anyway, Tiffany, that's a good conspiracy theory that the campaign day. I agree with you. They're not all evil, but there is definitely a lot of money influence. And the 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon. I mean, Jefferson Shreve. You can see that that reach with his money has gotten people on the IEDC, on the IU trustee board, on the energy committee. Our friend Chris, I'm talking about, don't you?
Savannah Kernstein.
Yeah. All those people that hang around there. I was really surprised to see Isaac, come up as a trustee at IU. I don't even know if he went.
I don't even know who that is.
It's the guy that's been going around with Jefferson. He's been his chief of staff guy. So he was at the Southside Social the other night. So, but
does he live in DC or does he live in Indiana?
He lives here. He lives in Indianapolis.
Okay.
So. Yeah,
Is that
and like I said,
paid trustee job? Is it a paid?
I don't think it is. It's just I think it's a board position. But I think all these things. I'm on KG, Community Action of Greater Indianapolis. It's not a paid position. There is zero influence that I can gain from that. But if you think about the Economic Development Corporation, you're going to make some decisions on a lot of money. I mean, I think ours is a $12 million thing. We have $12 million budget. We do get a lot of funding. Our federal funding has not really been affected. State funding, we have some donations from Lilly. We do help a lot of underserved people in the city, and we are Greater Indianapolis, so we are Hamilton County, Hendricks, and Marion County. So, it's a wide range, but I'm on the board. I help out when I help out. I was able to get a contract for tearing down the parking garage. We need to tear down, and saved about $100K for them. I don't. Now, if I was I could get a little kickback from who I gave to, but I don't do that. So there is definitely opportunity for people to take a little bit of something for themselves, and nobody would really know. But it just comes down to integrity and how you do it. So, it just raises questions when you give somebody $35,000 and then mysteriously you pop up on a board that doesn't pay what, it just gets a little gray. That's all I'm saying.
So, I mean, does
for their time too.
Does he not have a background? I mean, is he not well suited? Is he not qualified? I mean, the qualifications.
Well, I mean, Isaac, not to pick on young people, but I don't know how. I mean, we got Nick Roberts. He's a councilman. He's only
a part-time trustee, part-time helper to the trustee. He's been groomed for that position.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it'd be nice. It just seems like, the only transparency they have is because they have to be. And if somebody like Steve doesn't dig it up, then it just
everybody is connected to somebody. It's just a nepo thing. Like, I understand it as long as we're all on the same page with this stuff is going to happen all the time. And I'm just going to point it out. That's all. And say, hey, are we okay with this? Or we are not okay with this?
Dude, isn't that depressing as hell?
Well, I mean, I guess
I live in Marion County. I live in the armpit of Indiana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everything's
depressing over here.
And don't get me wrong. It's not, we pick on the Indianapolis City Council is worse it's awful. You know, you look at our roads here, and me and Whitty live in it. You know, we're not living on the edges or out by Geist or whatever. We live in it. I mean, I'm in Mars Hill and he's up, you know, in what the hell is the name of your
Garden
neighborhood?
City.
Which one?
Garden City.
Garden City, yeah, which is Drexel Gardens. And I swear our roads are third world country roads, and the trash and trees growing over. It's like nobody's taking care of anything for 9 years. And we've spent all these millions of dollars. And for what?
Well, you're ready to get a hockey team now, so your priorities would have to shift.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
we got great trails and some good water parks too. You know?
I think the hockey team is going to be up in Hamilton County. There's no way they put a professional team.
We already have a hockey team. We're good.
Yeah, they'll boot them out.
We're full.
They're going to make them.
They just got them. No, they can't go anywhere.
They're gonna change their name from the Fuel to the High Octane. So that's how they're going to name change and get a couple more players. Well, but you know, give the people what they want. If you think about Rome, they gave them the Colosseum and more bread.
Right.
And that's pretty much where we are.
What did Marie Antoinette say?
Off with their heads. Let them eat cake.
Let them have.
Let them have their cake.
And what was the other one? Oh, that was Louis VIII. Off with their heads. So you don't get your people mixed up. I'd rather have the cake than my head chopped off. But anyway, so anybody else got any conspiracies? So when do you got to have something you can make up, don't you?
Dude,
I
have another one. AI.
Another one? Oh, well, let's let Tiffany do another one. She's way behind.
If you have a child that's 3 or older, if you have a child that's in between the ages of 3 and 6, I think parents really need to be diligent right now because of AI. If you've got school-age children, you need to make sure that they're reading like out loud, reading books. They're going to the library. They're exposing themselves organically to information, and it's not coming from the internet. It doesn't have a spin on it, or it's not, AI manufactured. I think we just need to make sure that American children have a good foundation in critical thinking, being able to research and problem solve. Because if we rely on AI to do that for young people, we are going to be in a really bad situation.
Yeah, when AI magically shuts off because of all these power plants, we'll be lost. And I'd say even with these phones, they've become our memory.
We set a piss poor example for kids, like as adults. Just kids observing people.
We're all
we're all on our phones. Like it's not.
So Yvonne wants to know when Dan's coming on. I don't have his schedule exact yet, but we do have Mike Young coming on next week.
Let's go.
We're going to talk about some inter-party stuff, some legal stuff. We're going to talk about all sorts of stuff that's going on because he's not afraid to say what's on his mind, and it's not like they're going to throw him out of the caucus. So, but he's a little bit fired up about things. And I think a lot of people are fired up about Marion County. I mean, we had 7 murders since Saturday to like Monday.
Oh, it's going to get worse.
It was.
And I think somebody just brought that up too, or Lucy, I think, brought it up about the getting your kids out of public school. Then if you don't want AI teaching them, like, didn't Linda McMahon come out and say that, like, she was in favor of AI teaching like younger kids up to a certain grade?
In some of that, one of the things that I've noticed about the current things, obviously I've substitute taught. I hear all this about the education system. Now, I didn't do any last year, but I did 3 years ago and 2 years ago. And then Kelly's made it so hard that it's just not worth the hoops and the $60 they give you for a day, which the money's not a big deal, but it's just a pain in the ass to fill out this and that and all that.
Well, but it's weird because kids are not prepared to go to school, mentally and manners wise, just respect wise. They don't understand what leaving the house to go to that place and learn. I mean, I don't think they understand active learning, like active listening, learning for listening for a reason, not just because you're just doing it.
And I guess the rest of my point was we worked with Purdue Polytechnical, which is in the old Broad Ripple building, and these were freshmen, and they were project based, And what they had them do is they had to go out in a community and find somebody that was doing something in that community and do the research on it, and then come up with their own idea of what they could do. And so we had 2 groups come and do the Mars Hill Art Center. And actually one of the groups got to the final 12, and they got to do a presentation, but they did not win, but they were 4th. And, they came and we interviewed us, and those kids were so into all that stuff. They delegated it all out. They had 5 or 6 people on their team. They elected one as a spokesperson. They had research people. I mean, project-based stuff. And I think, to me, they were really excited about it. Now, like I said, I've substitute taught, and some of these kids, they just do not care. I mean, they want everything brought to them. They do not want to have to I've got to open a book, or they have these computers and they can't even keep them charged. If they was playing a game on it, my gosh, they'd be charged.
Oh, they're lying on that. Like, it's perfectly charged.
Yeah, well, and you're a substitute teacher, so you're definitely you're definitely not gonna. Yeah, I did have 2nd graders for 3 days, and that was wild. I got those kids so wound up; it was so much fun. They never asked me to come back, but and I try to sub for people I know. And that
you had more ADD. You were the kid.
I had them doing relays on the whiteboards for math, and we got so loud that both of the adjoining classes came over and told it to shush it. When kids get on the bus all sweaty, you've done your job. So,
that's true.
But I mean, 2nd graders, you got to burn some energy, man. That's what you got to do. But anyway, so who's got it? Whitty, what's your conspiracy?
I'm on the same side with Tiffany, though. The future I'm very worried about, with us turning into like a bunch of fat walrus land whale, like from Wall-E. We're just on a scooter all the time, having a big gulp and just watching slop on a screen. I'm very concerned about that in the future. I mean, remember, I don't know, maybe I'm a little old, but remember when they were fear mongering about digital calculators? It's like, well, how people are supposed to add anymore, or even like spell check on the computer. I mean, it just works into the next thing, but it's like, well, it's convenient, and then they'll turn A into an inconvenience.
But to your point, the number of people who can't spell.
I know, same thing though, right? Or do basic math.
I know this case of ideas from Charlie's is really good. You mean a quesadilla? I mean, like, yeah.
How about this? I see these videos of this Inkstein or Umstein or what. They can't even say Einstein's name right. They're trying to, it's like, that's a little crazy. But
I do think the parents, though, like the lack of involvement from them is very concerning, whether it's, like, I remember when I was going to go to college and I went and watched, some like prep for math, like Khan Academy. Like, there's so many things that when I was in high school, I wish I had now with the YouTube and like learning how to do certain things. And instead I went to the library and I had to figure out how to use the library too. And, and then like had to read things from like 20 years before 20 years older than me of how to do certain things. But
it's like I can smell the books you're talking about. I can.
Oh yeah. You can feel like the texture and everything, and the binder and stuff. Yeah.
So we're gonna have to get Yvonne on as a guest, because she's like a wrath of. I don't even know what the Wagner. Does anybody know what the Wagner Preisler Act is? No idea. 1998. She just knows what's going on. So. And she says that's why they're not prepared. I would just say the 2 things missing in education and pretty much in our society is discipline and respect.
But that comes from home. That comes from home.
I said society.
Well, but that's it though. Like, Rakita came out with the Parents' Bill of Rights and the Church's Bill of Rights. It's like, what about the parents' responsibility? Like, send your kid to school ready to go.
Todd Rakita has to tell you, if he has to write the parent responsibilities that we have.
So Brad, you notice this in?
I'll ask him. Be like, Todd, can you write a list of parent responsibilities so that
Brad? Let us know how that goes, Tiffany.
So Brad can put it up in the library.
It'd be like the 10 commandments of responsibilities.
Public, because.
We'll call it the 10 responsibilities. So, Brad, do you notice that at your library, do parents just come? Are they allowed to just drop their kids off and say, "Hey, go look for the porn in the kiddie section"?
Are the children?
I mean, I've never heard that discussion myself, but yeah, kids come in as young as 8 is like kind of what we allow. But a lot of them go on computers and stuff. But I kick kids out all the time if they're.
You are instilling respect to discipline.
8-year-old unsupervised at the library.
Well, and it's a small town though, Tiffany. Like kids walk to the library from their. It's not like a.
Hey Tiffany, have you ever been?
There's no busy roads.
So true.
Have you ever been to Mars Hill
anymore?
Mars Hill,
Do
kids
you have
roam
men
around
in there
everywhere.
with like raincoats on? I mean, golly.
What?
No, but that's it. Another thing though is like if you're on the sex registry or like the sex abuse registry and stuff, like you're still able to come into the library. Like we had a lot of staff was like, we can't let them in. And I'm like, legally, like we had to talk to lawyers and stuff to figure out what we can or can't do. And it's like, they're still allowed in. We can be hyper vigilant, which we are.
Now, do they have to let you know, or do you just have to find out? Or
no?
See, that's the thing I would think.
But again, small town.
Yeah.
Well,
and you're going to be watching things there. That's the public stuff isn't as bad as that private stuff. I would think is harder to keep track of. But yeah, it's.
I'm saying like small towns or whatever those are. The small city, like it's got some good points to it.
Yeah, it does. Well, if you think about our dense city, I had one guy that was on the sexual list that was. He was advocating for the fact that you can't be 1,000 feet from a school. You can't be 1,000 feet from a library. You can't be. So by the time you draw that on the map, you cannot go in the city because they overlap so much.
Schools have different laws just because it's like mainly for kids. And
Right. But in a smaller community, you're spread out more is what
Yeah,
my point is.
yeah.
This is when you get it so condensed, you're going to be automatically around somewhere where kids are, a museum, a park, a school, a library, all that stuff, and it overlaps. And his point was, I can't legally go anywhere because I'm going to be in one of those zones all the time. So I'm like, well, first of all, don't be a sexual predator. That's a good start. But at the same time, pile them up and burn them, or what's the, Whitmer.
Wood chipper.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I got that.
But I mean, like the kids who do come in, like if they're respectful and they're just hanging out, the library is just a place to hang out. And honestly, in my town, those are very short in supply. So like if kids come in, we have air conditioning. Like I think that's like one of our biggest.
Okay. I don't want to read. I just want to be cool.
Brad, what's your opinion like the modern outside look of libraries now? Do you hate it, or are you neutral? Because I enjoy the old school, like something from Harry Potter.
We have a Carnegie library in our town, like in the addition that we put onto it, it's very respectful to like the original build, I think. But yeah, like the whole office building vibe sometimes I hate those. But that said, they have so much space. There's so much space for activities, so.
Right. All the drag readings and stuff, right?
Well, no, I don't want to go to jail now.
That's an exhibit B.
It's exhibit A. No, all those laws
That's
want
right.
to be fixed.
Oh, Brad.
We call that the micro room.
Brad, what's July at the library? Brad,
Wait, what?
what's July at the library?
Right now we have July 4th stuff up. We'll probably start back to school things towards the end of July.
I know, isn't it crazy?
We're still doing summer reading right now.
This is no one's month. No one's claimed July.
I mean, my birthday is in July, so
it's the Brad
library.
Librarian month.
Yeah,
all month. So what day, Brad? What day is your birthday?
Oh, the 24th.
I'll make sure you ban you on the 24th.
Hey, I want to invite you.
I'm a Leo.
Down for Saturday. If you guys aren't doing anything, Spiro's Lake House is gonna be rocking on Saturday down at Lake Cordery. If you want to come down for that from 1 to fireworks, they're gonna have fireworks down there. So the Mouthwash squad and you, Steve, are invited for that. So come on down. I'm actually gonna ride my bike down. It's only 41 miles here from the lovely Mars Hill. As soon as I get out of Marion County, the roads get better and people don't try to run over me. It's all good. So we have that. Mike Young next week, and we're going to find a home for that emu. Now they're shooting the fireworks off every night in Mars Hill. We have fireworks, and my emu is going to be scared to death. So I got to
Hey,
go.
John, I think that you should take on the job of trying to find somebody to run for prosecutor in Marion.
I heard they already found somebody.
So everybody up here in Hamilton County, we're tired of the bleed over. So we
Yeah.
Everybody is.
It's crazy, right?
You know, this is Marion County
behalf
is
of Hamilton County. We're tired of the bleeds.
well, it's Johnson County, Hendricks County, all of them are tired of it. Marion County is the jail, and the donuts are the bars.
Crap.
You you think about it. It is exactly that. You go up to Hamilton County and don't wear your seatbelt and see what happens. Heck, you can run stoplights down here, stop signs, run over. You can shoot, and nothing happens to you, and everybody knows it. But you go to Hamilton County, you go to Johnson County, you're going to spend some time in jail. I mean, you're not going to get away with it. So I agree, Tiffany. But how are we going to do that?
Get a good candidate. We'd do a fundraiser up here for him. I mean, we had a break-in in Britton Falls, and those kids were from Marion County and should.
Oh yeah, they told me when I moved to Mars Hill, why don't people get robbed in Mars Hill? It's because they don't poop where they eat. They don't steal from their own people. Is basically what that means. So hey, there's it's like, and you look at the homicide maps of this weekend or this year, we don't have any homicides in Mars Hill. It's almost like I joked around about Mars Hill safer than Broad Ripple. So it's definitely safer than the East Side and other places.
Liquor license.
Yeah, well, we have our share of liquor stores and churches.
No,
Tiffany, are they hitting up certain areas or just all over the place?
They're just all over the place.
There was just a random incident that occurred in a Del Webb community, 55 plus community. The two gentlemen, one of them had a rap sheet and he shouldn't even have been out if he'd been thoroughly prosecuted. So that's the issue here. Number one, I will tell you is that our first responders, our police and Fishers, fully funded
And don't play. They don't play.
They are trained and well equipped. Drones, body cams, they are ready for
dragging people out of library board meetings.
One of the best.
They're ready.
I may have told this story before, but one of the reasons why I love my Fishers Police Department so very much is when Officer Shanavaz from Elwood was murdered that night. It happened in Elwood, and then I don't know if the guy's been charged, but the guy who killed him, he drove his car and he was pulled over and arrested in Fishers without incident. Officer Shanavaz, I think he was maybe 26 when he passed when the incident occurred, went to Fishers High School, drumline, great kid, Army vet, and he was a white guy. The guy who shot him, black guy, rap sheet, but the Fishers Police Department apprehended him without incident.
Yeah, and that's tough because he'd already had an incident before. So,
and if ever there would have been he made a quick move, or he was going to run, or he reached for something, people would have been like, well, but
yeah.
I
didn't quite make it back to the jail.
No. He was arrested without incident. Nothing happened so that the Shanavaz family could have their day in court. So I think that that's really important. So I tell you, Fishers Police Department, fully equipped, fully trained. They've got great mental health, so they're not going to do stupid stuff, and they're ready for it. They are itching for you to come up here acting stupid.
Yeah, and you got a prosecutor. Your prosecutor, is it a Fishers prosecutor or is it Hamilton County? Is it our Greg Garrison?
So Greg Garrison, and then he's got a really great office of folks. So the Taco Bell in Allisonville, just south of 116th Street, was robbed. I guess it was maybe 6-8 months ago. Those guys who robbed that Taco Bell got 40 plus charges. Don't mess with it.
And no taco. And if you know Taco Bell, there ain't no money in a Taco Bell. What kind of were they hungry? I
have no idea, but
I'm gonna rob me a Taco Bell. I got 49 cents.
So if anybody,
and people spend have you ever seen a person's order at 2 a.m. at a Taco Bell?
I have, but they usually pay with a card.
$27, which means they're getting 90 tacos.
Yeah, but they're paying with a card or an app, or I don't pay with any cash.
I tell the story just so if you know people who are thinking about crime, just don't come to Fishers.
Yeah, then they don't. They do not do it.
They would have figured that out by now. Hamilton County doesn't mess around.
So the other thing that the Fishers Police Department is doing, they are vacuuming DNA off of fabric. They did it in a rape case. They are pulling fingerprints off of bullets. When you put them into the chamber, they're able to take that.
Yeah, I have to remember that to wear gloves.
Well, they're able to take the fingerprint off of that cylindrical bullet, flatten it out and get the fingerprints off of it. They also have the gun task force. So you get pulled over in Fishers, they find a gun in your car, they're going to take it back, fire it, and figure out what crime in Marion County it goes with. So there's just so much going on. We've got cyber unit. They're cracking down on internet crimes. So this is not the place for crime.
Don't do it. Tiffany says, like Kamala Harris said to Iran, don't do it. And then Joe Biden said, don't do it. And then Trump said, we're going to bomb the hell out of them. So anyway,
I'm saying, come to Hamilton County, come to Fishers and do your crime. We're going to bomb the hell out of you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You are
what I'm saying. We're going to bomb the hell out of you.
So, well, and the thing is, I think, we got a new police chief down here, Chris Bailey, and I think he's doing best he could do with what he's got. I do notice that the morale is a little bit better, but I see Steve shaking his head. We got a revolving door. One of the shooters this weekend had already been charged with a machine gun and another assault.
Like 2 weeks before.
2 weeks before, and he's out again. I'm going to make an analogy here to the border. When we had the border before, and Biden they weren't enforcing the rules. They just weren't enforcing the rules, and then they tried to blame Trump for it. Okay, Trump gets in office, and now we have very little crossings. Why is that? The laws have not changed
because they're in charge of the stats.
Well, that may be too, but the enforcement is my point, is what I was trying to make. Enforcing the rules.
No, Brad, are you even trying to insinuate that they're the same number of crossings?
No. I do believe that they're
that
down.
we're not reporting it.
No, I do believe that they're down. Yeah,
I heard some. That's what I heard.
No. I did want to comment.
Your turn, Brad.
Well, no, about the man who murdered the police officer from Elwood. He ended up, he's in jail now, and he ended up stabbing a guard too, while he's in jail waiting trial. And I know we didn't get to it, but we should talk about the death penalty and the
drug. Yeah,
the drugs involved with it. And I feel like Rakita and Braun are on separate pages on this, because Rakita's like, hey, let's do these things. And Braun's like, I'm not going to buy anymore. And then again, it's like, why the hell is it that expensive in the first place?
If you know Todd Rokita, this is Todd Rokita pushing buttons. This is Todd Rokita, thumbing his.
Oh, he put on his little boxing gloves.
Oh yeah, he doesn't care who you are. He'll get it. He does not. When I heard that, I'm like, okay, he's going to force him to do this. And the legislature is not in session until next year. So, this playground is going to be open for play. My thing is we got fentanyl. We had 4 fentanyl overdoses here in Mars Hill.
Fentanyl.
I mean, just give them a little fentanyl. I mean, I don't get this. To me, this is quintessential.
Yeah, I started looking this up actually, of why the drugs are so expensive, because in Canada you have the Kevorkian thing. And they're actually much cheaper to kill somebody there than it is to kill somebody here with very similar drugs. And it's because the people that manufacture the drugs and sell them said it's like a morality thing, because they don't believe in capital punishment.
Yeah, it's
so.
What the hell are the drugs for in the first place then?
Can we find? I mean,
or euthanizing animals. They're like very similar drugs, but the people that manufacture the drugs for that, for some reason, they're having hey, we don't believe in capital punishment, but it's okay with assisted suicide. It's okay with euthanizing animals, but not for capital punishment. I was like, all right, get the noose, get the guns.
Yeah, I really feel like we're trying to be so humane about this that we're really not thinking this through.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, if the people who have the medicine don't want to sell us the medicine, I mean, you can find 1,000 other ways to.
Hell yeah!
Well, South Carolina
with
1,000
different ways for justice to have its day.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
we'll put it on a roulette wheel and we'll let the prisoner decide.
Yeah. Well, they used to.
I'm going with eat myself to death.
Yeah. Well, the death penalty and the drugs and all that, but to me, it's like, come on, we could do better than this. Either don't do it or do it right. This to me seems like you think about the person that. Say the officer Chenevez got shot. How long do you think it took for that crime to happen? That thing took probably 20 seconds, 2 minutes,
Yeah.
5 minutes. And then we're going to look at an average of 17 years to get somebody through the process. Once they get through the process, then they're going to have a $300,000 bill for them to go to sleep forever. That is an unsustainable system.
But isn't life in prison cheaper? That's
I don't.
the argument that I always
I
give.
think life in prison is cruel and inhumane.
I think it's a net zero. There we go. Like either you
Yeah,
know, like
Allegedly, it's cheaper to just house them in prison. Well, that's because their drugs cost so much. Oh, they're talking about like the appeal process.
Yeah, and like
because you have
everything
like you have like three. You can do 3 appeals.
Here's one thing that would slow I think this would. Now this is going to be very controversial, and I do have my hat on here.
And you have
If
the
you
banner.
commit a crime in Marion County with a gun, death penalty within 1 year. That will definitely slow it down. So that's pretty harsh. I know, Steve,
it's
you
like,
probably like
making,
that.
it's like making every curb a tollway zone.
Well, hey, I think it would stop. It would at least stop one person at a time quickly, and then people wouldn't do that. And I'm not talking. I'm talking about if you go into the 7-Eleven and rob them with cigarettes with a gun, death penalty.
Woo! Where are you?
I'm good with that.
Yes, I'm sorry I didn't work head on a spike too.
Because we're
Steve.
yeah. Well, we'll work it. We'll work it
Well,
there.
and honestly,
It's because things have gotten so out of control. It's like we have to put the fire out somehow.
Yeah,
as much as crazy that sounds like, at some point we're gonna have to do something to just stop the bleeding.
Yeah,
whatever that looks like, I'm game.
The Bud Light's kicked in on Brad, so.
So how is the Newport tax going over? This is day one.
Oh, gosh, I heard that's Newport tax. Tiffany, that was racist.
How was that racist?
That was the black and mild tax.
Come on, it's like, you might as well said cool.
How's the Virginia Slim tax
Yeah,
going?
there we go.
How's the Marlboro tax
now
going?
have the Marlboro tax going. That's more.
Strike tax.
They did this 20 years ago or whatever. They put a $5 tax on cigarettes. Used to be 50 cents in the 80s and early 90s.
How much was gas though?
In the 80s, it was still up there. It was like $1. It wasn't
70 cents, 75 cents.
No, when I first started
driving in 89, gas was like 89 cents.
Yeah, that's probably right. Under $1-ish. When I started driving, it was 28 cents, and then it jumped up when we had the embargo in 76. It jumped up to 48, and everybody's hair caught on fire. Well, but you think about it, I was driving a 98, an Olds 1998 or 1965 Olds 98, 454 carburetor. We got gallons to miles, not miles to the gallon. So
what year was this, in the 90s?
Well, I had that in the late 70s. So, it was like, my first job, I was making $2.25 an hour. We were bringing home $1.25, $125 a week. And we were rich. I mean, for kids, we were rich. I had no rent. I'm living at my parents' house and all that. But
so when I graduated high school in 91, the movie theater was paying $5 an hour. And I actually know some people who left college for the $5. So.
Yeah, that's what I was offered. That when I have a graphic design, I got out and they were going to give me $5 an hour to do paste up. Back then we had to actually draw stuff. We didn't have all this digital stuff. And I said, heck, I can make $750 in construction, and the rest was history. I'm a bricklayer now, so make a lot.
You're a mason, aren't you? A mason?
Yeah, mason, a fancy term for bricklayer. But
we would have had to explain it to Whitty. So.
No.
Well, he's part Mexican. He knows.
Yeah, I know all about that. I know all about wall building too.
Yeah, he built some walls and
mostly hopping them though.
Dude, we're still on, John.
I know. I'm just kidding.
But the banner's up. Up.
He self admits that. So if you got to watch,
I talk about it every Saturday. Brad knows.
Yeah.
He talks about being what?
20% Mexican.
Yeah, I'm allowed to say 20% things, then I'm good.
Yeah, I'm just a tall Mexican. That's all I am. So
yeah, the whitest Mexican I know.
It's all good. All right, kids. Has anybody got another conspiracy theory? We've pretty much covered a lot.
No, well, I just wanted to do one really fast.
Yeah,
it was about the Idaho firefighters that were shot and killed. I mean, terrible story. And
by the parents were Trumpers.
Well, I guess. And so but when I was on Twitter when it was all going on and there was like a manhunt for the shooter, some of the tweets were just insane. of who was at fault. So there was one. It says, "I'm willing to bet the suspects will be found to live on the Antifa side of the Idaho-Washington border. Antifa are the only degenerate scum who would sink this low in their acts of terrorism." Like, this was an hour or two after this started. So again, I don't know how the hell they can just come up with that. I don't even know anybody like Antifa would go into Idaho. Not like Idaho's a lovely state.
That's where they had that standoff with those two guys. They had the standoff in Idaho. Tommy Ice, very good. Rocket motor. That's what I had in that thing. The rocket motor. It was the Oldsmobile 454 gas guzzler. But yeah, and you got to wonder, the kid was what, 20 years old. I mean, it's like, how do you get to that point? I mean, that is wild. He started a fire. They came out and he shot him. I mean, I'm like, I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I'm going to come up with something like that. I mean, that is a different kind of, that's a sickness that I don't understand. I just don't understand that. And these guys why is it their fault? I just don't get it.
There's another one.
Anti-firefighter. It's weird.
Trump will make them pay, or like Trump will make an example of these traitors. I would bet that these are probably foreign invaders who have no vested interest in our soil.
I knew it.
These are thoughts of Twitter during this time. And it's not like, hey, this is nuts. Firefighters, I don't get it.
Yeah, and people don't wait. Usually we used to wait a couple days. You used to, and they did put a disclaimer with it. Is it too soon? Now nobody even puts too soon on there. They just automatically go. And a good example would be the vaccine. Well, somebody died. Oh, they must have got a vax. They would not just skip right. Look at.
Well, what about
one of them? He's one of them.
What about the shooter in Minnesota? Like, there's no retribution. The DOJ is not breaking down any doors on that. Apparently,
I mean, and I think consistency. We were talking about Marion County and Fishers. The consistency in Fishers of you getting arrested for doing this and that and the other thing is higher than in Marion County, where you're not going to have that. And once that is a known entity, there's just no regard for it.
It's hard to get the discipline back. Like, you can't.
Well, it's got to be extreme, and I think that that's why I made that.
Heads on pikes, let's go.
Heads on, and catapults and all that. I'm not that extreme.
Catapults.
But you got to. And I'll use my before we go. I'll use my high school football coach. His saying was, when we came in as freshmen, he'd say, "You got to do something to get noticed." And I think that if you think about it, this kid over here wanted to get noticed by shooting those. That's just the wrong way to do it. The kids that shot up Columbine, which I think was sensationalized, and it made other school shooters, sexy or whatever you want to call it. I just think that was just the wrong way to approach things. I mean, now you have people that are going to copy that, and how much does media spin this up? And how do you get there? You're 20 years old and you do something like this. That was planned out. It wasn't like he didn't plan it. So, but anyway, we want good news. We want more good news. Somebody got some good news that they
I'm going to Colorado in August. I can't wait. It's going to be great.
Visit Barry Morphew in jail.
No, I started reading up on that though again, and apparently, and again, the universe is just really weird. I find it so odd that this guy, and I live in the town where
I know it. It's like Lucy being on the bloodline of Brigham Young, and my wife Lisa being in the Mountain Meadow Massacres other side of that. So many years in 1857, and she would not be here if her great grandma was 9 years old. It's just weird that that's a small. That coincidence just blows my mind. Yeah. And this thing is too. It's like, the fact that my master's degree is from University of Colorado Springs, which is a mile away from where that is, and it just
that's where I'm staying. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
On the second night, because I'm going to Buena Vista for for a 3-day music festival. No, I had to look that up. It's apparently Buena. It's spelled Buena Vista, but
as a resident Mexican, I agree with Brad.
Yeah, that's how it is. Now, if you go to Arkansas, that is how do you say the other way?
But it's supposed to be like 9,000 feet elevation, and
Yeah,
I apparently have to like.
It's 2
prepare
miles. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Denver's a mile high. It's 5,200, so it's double that. Well, you can go gold mining out there. You could go catch some
gold in Colorado.
The gold in Colorado.
There's gold in them there hills.
Them there hills.
Yeah.
Watch out. If you do want to off your wife, that's where a lot of people go. Just saying, you know, you got.
I already got a divorce.
A lot
I
of
don't
them.
want to go down that road.
Yeah, so you're good. You're good. So, yeah, just be careful out there. Be careful. When are you going for that? A couple weeks?
Yeah, August 13th and 14th.
And why the heck are you going there?
We are
King
really
Gizzard-
having the conversations that we usually have after we're done.
Oh,
King
I thought we
Gizzard
were
and
off.
Lizard Wizard. Well, everybody should go listen to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Just throwing that out there. Came out with another new album.
Hey, it's 11.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we gotta go. We got jobs and stuff. This is, you know, not our business. So let me get this to this and everybody. Hey, thanks for tuning in, all of our loyal video viewers.
Yvonne
Thanks
is
to Dave.
still with us. Like,
We
yeah.
got lots of stuff
How
going
many
on.
people did we have watching?
Oh, we've had 12 live on this, but I know Twitter has some and YouTube has some. So we need to add it all up. We get something, and we get a lot of people watching later. And let's put it this way: a lot of important people watch the shows. Between Whitmer and our show, we're getting it out there. People know what's up, and we get the guests. I mean, we got David Shelton on. He's a good guest. He did a great job.
Yeah.
Next
Woody, I
week, Mike.
apologize for arguing with you when I was right.
Okay.
Oh, that
still
was
love
so.
you,
I
Tiffany.
can't wait to go back and watch that.
They're gonna clip that and post it later. I already know it.
It's all right. Clip away. All right, kids. Well, hey, thanks for sitting in, Steve. And
I hate you.
You love me. Don't be mad.
No, I hate you.
we're supposed to end on a happy note. Please.
Yeah, no. Everything's
all right.
lovey and dovey.
We'll see y'all next week. We got Mike Young. Watch Woody's show at 8 the night before. We got stock market neophytes. We've been off for 3 weeks this week. So tune in. See who's made money and who's lost money. All right, everybody. Say bye, everybody.
Good night,
Bye.
Yvonne.
All right.
Yeah.